Good morning. This is UK time here. I'm Clive Couldwell, a murky Brit who edits AV magazine based just south of London in Croydon, where not many people go, but you should do. It's an interesting place. However, today I've been brought on as an extra to the established crew of Chris Neto and Mark Coxon for AV Smackdown, which is part of my rehabilitation, if you like, which is getting me out of the office and putting me into a rarefied environment where we look as though we're talking sensibly about all kinds of stuff that's coming our way on technology and other related issues. In fact, we're just talking randomly, but we're trying to make it make sense.
Absolutely.
Now, we talked about the industry changing, didn't we, and how it's changed so quickly in the last 4 or 5 years, compared to Peter Lloyd, who was the editor of the esteemed organ for 30 years extraordinarily, and how much has changed on. And we're looking ahead, and we're looking really how to try and work out how the technology is changing and how we can keep up with it, how skills can keep up with it, and how we're defining ourselves. And we seem to be defining ourselves using the word experience at the moment. I mean, putting collaboration to one side for a minute, which is a sort of, I would say, the infrastructure, transactional nature of the technology. It's just a basic way of basic stuff communicating. But the really value end, in my view, is the way we think of the experience, the word people use, which I'm not sure means anything, but I think it roughly translates into delivering what you do well and making sure it actually works well. And then the other side of it, which is creating that wow element that really is something more than we usually deliver, and how do we deliver it. And I think the industry is a little bit confused about where it sits between those two and what skills it has to deliver either really well.
We may look back at this point in AV in a couple years and probably realize that this whole experience movement will probably change the makeup of what AV is. I think you're right to an extent that the experience is going to shock people. They want to become experiential, and their first push into the experience is going to be what they know and what they're comfortable with, right? It's going to be, I'm going to get technology that's going to make the experience. But meanwhile, the experience is not necessarily the technology forward, it's what the people experience when the technology is done right. Am I right in this, Mark, or am I wrong? You know, the technology is more the enabler in this conversation. And do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I think, I was listening to or I saw some news coming out of the AVIT Summit, and Steve Lampier was on there, and he said, the next generation of AV is going to be outcomes based and not product based. It's not going to be a product based outcome. We're going to be judged on how does that work in the space. And I think many times, I think there are two things that scare traditional, I guess integrators or even manufacturers, AV people in general about experience. The first one is that experience is very subjective to the person using the system, and we like objective things, right? We like our spec sheets, we like our measurements, we like all of those things. But I've always argued, I could write down on a piece of paper to a client that I'm going to deliver audio at 50 dB in your space, and it's going to have plus or minus 3 dB of range of coverage throughout the space. And they could sign off on that, and I could go test it and deliver it, and they could still think it sounds awful. Because to somebody who's buying an AV system, they don't know what 50 dB sounds like in that room. They just see that number on a piece of paper. So we've created this objective thing we want to measure to, and experience is really, did they actually like it? And many times that's not have you ever, gone into a job to get your sign off and go, well, do you like it though? We checked all the boxes, but the customer doesn't like the system. But because we checked all the boxes, we get paid. And I think that's where, we're really, the experience movement is putting the user, the end user, the person using the system, whether it's a 50,000 person concert or a 4-person huddle room, it's putting that audience, that participant in the huddle space, it's putting them back in the chair of, is this good? For what I'm doing, do I like it? right? And that's a hard thing for some people to swallow who are technically minded people and are looking at engineering specs.
So are you afraid people are going to be judging what you do more harshly then? And should we be up to that sort of scrutiny anyway?
Well, I think we should be up to that scrutiny anyway. I mean, one of the most interesting things Avixa did, well, when they were Infocom and they changed from the CAVSP program to the Apex program, which is their audiovisual provider of excellence, right? Is they go, oh, we think the end user should have some say in whether, the system worked or not. I'm like, wow, that's a novel idea. The end user should be involved in determining whether something was good or not. That's like, shouldn't that have always been the case? I worked with a home builder called David Weekley Homes, and what they used to do with their surveys, most companies that do surveys do 1 to 10 because you'll score higher. They made their surveys 1 to 5. And the other thing they did is they went, instead of from unsatisfied to completely satisfied, they went from unhappy to ecstatic. Now, if you're a customer rating somebody, how hard is it for you to check ecstatic versus completely satisfied? When you try to actually talk to somebody about their emotion, you're going to get a much better feel of how those customers feel about you and your company. And that's how you determine if you're going to have evangelical customers. Because what you want as an AV company, you want that company you did that room for, everybody who comes in, they want to go, oh my God, you should have seen these guys. It was so great. My room works well. The guy was awesome. We went through, we had these couple things. They fixed them the way we wanted to. We've never had a system like this before. When you have a customer that does that, but geez, marketing departments are going to love you because you're going to be writing case studies all day long. The problem is in AV, many times we deliver, the people aren't happy, we sweep it under the rug, we don't get the referral, or we get put out to bid next time, and we say, oh, consumerization's killing us. You know what? The biggest thing for a company is business continuity. And if I'm doing something so right and their business is running well, they're not going to switch over $500. I guarantee you. The plague of good enough is that we didn't deliver on the full value proposition. And if we start actually asking people, maybe we'll get better at that, and then we don't become dinosaurs. So
I think so. Otherwise, the consultants will take it out of your hands. And one thing I've been really strong at is preserving traditional trades and skills. We've seen it in other industries when they've been thought not to be valuable and the whole world's moved on beyond them into other bigger picture scenarios, like Formula One, for example. No one cares how you make a part. They want to see the car win the race. However, when you're working back to how many elements go into that car getting past that point first, you go back to the guy making that component in the first place and making it well to a high degree of quality that actually fits in well with the overall picture. Sometimes I suspect with AV, we tend to lose the element of who's doing what in there, and actually other elements may actually contribute to things not working well, and the AV guy gets blamed. So we're quite conscious about all that, but we don't want it to be isolated in such a way that AV it's afraid of moving to the next step, and perhaps skills should change to actually get a bigger picture view, and other people take on the role of creating the experience and managing the quality, and leaving the poor AV guy in that sort of rut where he's never going to get out of it. So I'd rather move the industry along and widen the perception approach of what they're doing, and just leave it through. And I'm afraid with experience, all these clever uses and definitions of the word are going to confuse people and really give the wrong impression to the AV world, who thinks, God, I can't do that, or that's really not my core role. And the world will slightly move on because I wanted to create more sophisticated environments, and they're not going to think AV is up to the job. I want to dispel that myth, boost the skill set, boost the quality of what we're doing, and make it appreciated more, and actually make sure the evaluation process really looks more closely and properly at all these different elements that go into it. And I see all that message being diluted at the moment, and I find that quite dangerous.
You actually brought up two really interesting points. One, the idea that something doesn't have to be complicated to make it a good experience. That's something that needs to be reinforced. Just because a simple system is a simple system actually may make it more experiential because the people had a good time with it. It solved the problem. The huddle rooms are popular because they're purpose-built one-trick ponies, because of years of trying to do everything with everything that you possibly can throw into a system, right? Large size equipment racks full of stuff that blink and make a lot of whizzing sounds, and you don't know what half that stuff was in there for as an end user. We knew what it was doing, but it was a matter of overkill. The other thing that you brought up, which I think links back to experience and is a very interesting and probably, a byproduct of experience, is quality. And I'm not just talking about quality of an install, right? You want the installs to be done on time, on budget. We've discussed this before. That's what you're contractually obligated to. But I think what quality is going to do is it's going to an experience will start to bring in a level of craftsmanship that maybe we have lost with just poke a hole and pull a wire. I'm oversimplifying it. Quality will also go towards the manufacturers. Maybe putting an aluminum chassis is going to make the difference. Maybe using some higher end materials in what you're doing above and beyond, not just slapping things together. Because one of the things that, as a magazine editor and person who runs an award show, right? How many products do you have that are all the same thing? And it almost comes down to the quality of how they're either built, assembled, or the feature set that goes into them. Quality becomes super important in the experience, in my opinion.
Well, the key thing here about all these sort of things, and just sort of encapsulating all this, is that a lot of those awards, apart from the major componentries, are based on who's been involved in the overall experience of how that situation is put in. So a lot of project categories, a lot of bigger application areas where I've got the consultant in there, the manufacturer, the user, all those elements of people who were involved in that thing. Now, in the old days, you just had the manufacturer put the entry in.
Yes.
And you find the person actually obviously got the award, and it was very good. Sometimes in there, you'd have someone with an award who didn't deserve to have one. I admit it. But very, very rare that happens. But, I think when we're looking at all this, I think, it's more than a few people and getting recognised for appreciating what each one of us does, but also realising what skills are involved and how we can bring those things on. What about, just wrapping up, Mark, how would you summarise?
Yeah, I think all those things, I agree with all the statements you made. I think another part that goes into that experience and that quality of product a lot of times, though, especially in a Me Too world where, we have 50 companies making HD-based T extenders, but which ones pick up the phone and help you troubleshoot? That service becomes part of that experience. Number one, for the integrator with the manufacturers they work with, but I think also for the end user, and also, just over time. And I think sometimes we discount that. We're talking about doing AI bots and all this kind of stuff for all of our things that may be good to get people in the right place. But at some point, we have to have that level of support, and that may be the differentiator between, two different boxes that apparently, are on the surface do the same thing. So,
well, Chris Neto, Mark Coxon, and I've been Clive Couldwell temporarily. Thank you all for joining us, and please subscribe. It'll make us all very happy.